I think there are different points in our lives that differentiates us from who we were before that point and who we became after that point. Sometimes for the better and sometimes for the worst. One day a couple of years ago, I was sitting in my sad living room sorting through bills, mulling over the tough decision of which minimum balance would get paid that month, when the doorbell rang. It was my downstairs neighbor telling me that my car was about to get towed. My stomach sank as I stepped out of my door and saw a man parked catty-cornered in the narrow parking area below, chaining up my car. I called down, "Excuse me, what's going on? Your car is getting repossessed." I got hot all over. My chest and shoulders tightened up as a lump the size of what felt like an orange grew in my throat. A couple of my neighbors and my landlord were in the long driveway as well, working on something, and no doubt were listening and judging. I asked the man, "What am I supposed to do?" And he told me as my eyes were welling up with tears, but I just needed to hold on to them a little longer. I was able to grab my reusable canvas grocery bags from the trunk and stuffed into them as many things as I could from the glove box, back seat, and trunk. I wasn't sure if I was going to see this car again. And as I walked back up the stairs, the weight I was carrying was too much to bear, but it still wasn't as heavy as the weight of the stairs of those below. I heard the grumbling hum of the tow truck pulling my car out of the drive, and I walked back inside my apartment, closed the door, and plopped the bags on the floor. I sat on the living room chair as my eyes started to burn and blur, with a pit in my stomach, a lump in my throat, and now tears streaming down my face. Thoughts racing. What happened to my life? How could I let this happen? Where am I going to get this money from? You see, things like this never happened. Well, didn't happen to me. But my life was crumbling around me, and this was the nail. I had to think of a plan, and I had to think of one fast. Let me be clear, this wasn't the first time I felt lost, like the tide was pulling me under, and unfortunately, it wasn't the last. But I never felt so low before, and embarrassed. I couldn't go to my friends or family. They'd worry way too much about what was going on out here. I made up my mind. They'd be the last resort. Think. Where was I going to get that money from? No money coming in. No one was hiring. Well, to be clear, at least not me. Interviews were hard to come by. I mean, jobs were acting like they owed me money. All of a sudden, a thought popped into my head. I had money in an account that I had when I worked at a job a few years ago. It wasn't ideal. It wasn't a lot, and it would be a lot less when I received it, but it was more than enough to get me over this hurdle. Anyway, I got my car back, and I was never that late again, even if it meant swallowing my pride and borrowing. And before I tell you some things I learned and realized about God that could encourage you as well, go ahead and like and subscribe. So looking back, here's what I learned. First, God hears your cries. Crying was almost a daily occurrence at one point, and I was crying out to God for help because it was getting to be too much for me. You see, this problem just didn't start. It was going on for a while, and I finally realized that my help needed to come from above. Second, God listens to your pleas for help. Don't feel like you're just calling out into a void. Every single word you say is heard, even when you think He's being quiet and not answering back. Third, God will download ideas to you. This is a way that He answers you and shows that He hears the cries and pleas. That idea was so far from my thoughts that it really felt like a light switch clicking on. That wasn't me. That was all Him. If you had a similar situation where God seemed to have downloaded an idea to you to get you out of a jam, I'd love to read about it in the comments. And until the next one, take care.